Navy SEALs, and yeah, this is the one everyone knows. When most people imagine the perfect soldier, they don't imagine an army, they imagine one man, calm, focused, unstoppable. That man is probably a Navy SEAL. Officially established in 1962 by President John F. Kennedy, the SEALs were built on a simple but terrifying idea that some missions are too dangerous, too precise, too impossible for a conventional army. So they built something else entirely. Their name says it all: sea, air, and land. There is no environment on Earth where they cannot operate, and no environment on Earth where they cannot kill. But to wear that trident, you have to survive something most humans cannot even imagine. Berets training. 6 months of hell, widely considered the most punishing military selection course in existence. And at the center of it is Hell Week. 5.5 days, continuous training. Less than 4 hours of total sleep, not per night, total. Most candidates quit. The ones who don't go on to master combat, diving, military freefall, and close quarters battle. In 2011, after 10 years of searching, American intelligence located Osama bin Laden, the most wanted man on the planet, hidden inside a fortified compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. They sent 23 SEALs, in the middle of the night, into enemy territory, without warning. 40 minutes later, the mission was complete. Bin Laden was dead. Not a single American life was lost. 23 men, 40 minutes, 10 years of searching over. Delta Force. And this one operates in a league of its own. They don't have a website, they don't have a recruitment poster. For years, the United States government didn't even admit they existed. That silence was intentional, because Delta Force is where America sends its problems when every other option has already failed. Formerly known as the 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, it was created in 1977 by Colonel Charles Beckton, a man who had trained alongside the British SAS and came back with one obsession. America needed something like that, something darker, something with no limits. Delta doesn't recruit from the street. It recruits from the already elite Green Berets, Army Rangers, men who are already among the best soldiers on Earth before they even walk through the door. And most of them still don't make it. Their missions don't make the news. Their names don't appear in reports. Direct action against high-value targets. Hostage rescue in places no one admits sending soldiers. Intelligence operations deep inside hostile territory. The kind of work that, if it goes wrong, the government has never heard of you. In 2003, Delta operators found Saddam Hussein, the most wanted man in the world, hiding in a hole in the ground. In 2019, they hunted down Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the leader of ISIS, to a tunnel in northwest Syria. He detonated a suicide vest rather than face them. Most of what Delta has done will never be declassified. That's not a failure. That's the point. SAS, this is where it all started. Every unit you've heard and will hear in this video, they all trace back to this one. 1941, North Africa. The British Army is losing ground, losing men, losing the war in the desert. A young officer named David Sterling walks into headquarters with a proposal. Forget the squadrons, forget the battalions. Give me a small team. Let me operate behind enemy lines. I will destroy more German aircraft than your entire fighter squadron combined. They said yes. He was right. The Special Air Service raided dozens of German airfields, sabotaged supply lines, and gathered intelligence that shifted the course of the war. They were operating in the shadows before shadows had a name. Every Special Forces unit that came after, the SEALs, Delta Force, JTF-2, owe something to what David Sterling built in the desert in 1941. Their motto, "Who dares wins." 3 words that became a philosophy adopted by warriors across the entire world. To join the SAS, there are no pep talks, no encouragement, no explanation, just weeks of solo navigation across the mountains of Wales in any weather, at any hour, carrying loads that get heavier every single day. Either you finish or you don't. In 1980, the world found out what the SAS actually was. 6 terrorists had seized the Iranian embassy in London, 19 hostages inside. The operation was broadcast live on television. 6 terrorists, 6 killed or captured, 19 hostages freed, 17 minutes. 17 minutes. The world has never looked at Britain the same way since. Spetsnaz, okay, this one is a little different. and a little scary. The name alone was enough to make NATO commanders nervous. During the Cold War, while other armies trained for battles that might happen, Spetsnaz trained for something far more specific. They weren't preparing to fight a war. They were preparing to end one before it even started. Spetsnaz is not a single unit. It's a category. A family of shadow forces, the most elite of which answer directly to the GRU, Russian military intelligence. The kind of organization that doesn't appear in budgets and doesn't answer questions. Their Cold War mission was surgical and terrifying. Hundreds of miles inside enemy territory before a single shot had been officially fired, Spetsnaz operators were tasked with locating NATO's nuclear weapons, assassinating key military commanders, and creating enough chaos in the rear that the entire Western defense structure would collapse from the inside. Not a war, a controlled demolition. Their training reflects that mandate. Physical preparation so brutal it has become the stuff of legend. But it's the psychological conditioning that separates them from everything else. Deliberate sleep deprivation, extreme stress exposure, controlled violence. They weren't just building soldiers. They were building men who function normally in conditions that break everyone else. In Chechnya, in Syria, in Ukraine. Spetsnaz units have seen some of the most brutal combat of the modern era. The operations are rarely announced. The results are rarely confirmed. That's exactly how they were designed. Sayeret Matkal. When you live surrounded by enemies on every side, you don't have the luxury of being second best. Israel exists in a state of permanent threat, not theoretical threat, real, daily, existential threat. And that reality has produced something extraordinary, one of the most operationally experienced, most psychologically resilient special forces units on the planet. Modeled on the British SAS, Sayeret Matkal is the Israeli Defense Forces' premier special reconnaissance unit. Their mission: gather intelligence deep inside enemy territory and conduct direct action at the highest level of risk. The Israeli government didn't officially acknowledge their existence for years. Even now, what we know is only a fraction of what they've actually done. But that fraction is enough. In 1976, Air France Flight 139 was hijacked by terrorists and diverted to Entebbe, Uganda, 2,500 miles from Israel. 106 hostages, a hostile government, no cooperation, no support. Sayeret Matkal flew 2,500 miles, stormed the terminal, and returned 102 hostages to Israel in under 2 hours. One Israeli soldier was lost. All 7 hijackers were killed. The world didn't know that kind of operation was even possible. Over the decades, the unit has been credited with the elimination of senior figures from Hezbollah, Hamas, and Black September. The operations are never confirmed. The targets simply disappear. In a country that cannot afford to lose, Sayeret Matkal exists to make sure it never does. GIGN. And this one has a philosophy that might surprise you. Most special forces units are built around one principle: neutralize the threat. Fast, completely. The GIGN was built around a different idea: resolve the situation with the minimum possible loss of life. That includes the enemy. In a world of elite killers, that sounds almost naive, until you see what they can actually do. Founded in 1974 in the direct aftermath of the Munich Olympic massacre, the Groupe d'Intervention de la Gendarmerie Nationale was designed from the ground up for one purpose: hostage situations, terrorist attacks, and high-risk arrests on French soil and beyond. Their marksmanship training is among the most intensive on the planet. GIGN snipers are expected to make shots under pressure that most military shooters would consider impossible. Not impressive, impossible. In December 1994, 4 terrorists hijacked Air France Flight 8969 in Algiers. Their plan: fly to Paris and crash the aircraft into the Eiffel Tower. GIGN was waiting for them on the tarmac in Marseille. They stormed the aircraft, killed all 4 hijackers, and freed every remaining passenger. The operation took under 20 minutes. That operation is still studied in special forces training programs worldwide. Not because of how violent it was, because of how precise. Minimum force, maximum result. That's not a weakness, that's mastery. Green Berets. Every unit so far has been built to destroy. This one was built to do something harder. Most special forces enter a country, complete a mission, and leave. The Green Berets enter a country and become part of it. Officially the United States Army Special Forces, established in 1952, they were designed around a mission unlike anything else in the American military, not to replace local forces, but to build them. Not to conquer, but to influence. Each team is self-sufficient, deployable into a foreign country for extended periods with no outside support. Every operator must master at least one foreign language. Teams are organized by region. Some specialize in the Middle East, others in Southeast Asia, others in Latin America. They don't just understand the culture, they live inside it. After 2001, when America needed to move fast in Afghanistan, it was Green Berets who rode on horseback alongside Northern Alliance fighters through mountain passes, calling in precision airstrikes from the saddle. No conventional army could have done that. No other special forces unit was built to. The selection failure rate sits between 70 and 80%. Those who pass earn the right to wear a hat that has become one of the most recognized symbols in military culture worldwide. Other units are measured by the targets they eliminate. The Green Berets are measured by the armies they leave behind. SBS, you probably haven't heard of this one. That's exactly how they want it. If the SAS is Britain's most famous Special Forces unit, the Special Boat Service is its shadow. Quieter, deeper, almost completely invisible. Formed during the Second World War from canoeists and combat divers specializing in maritime sabotage, the SBS has evolved into something far more dangerous than its origins suggest. Their selection mirrors the SAS process, already one of the most brutal in the world, and then adds water. Cold, dark, disorienting water. SBS operators must be as comfortable 30 feet underwater in zero visibility as they are navigating mountains in a blizzard. Their mission set lives in the spaces most forces can't reach. Maritime counterterrorism, ship boarding in open ocean, underwater sabotage, coastal reconnaissance so deep behind enemy lines that extraction isn't guaranteed. Unlike the SAS, the SBS almost never appears in the news. Not because they aren't active, because they are exceptionally good at not being seen. Governments rarely confirm their involvement even after operations are long over. What little is known comes from declassified documents and the careful words of former operators. Their motto says everything. Not by strength, by guile. They don't want to be the most powerful force in the room. They want to complete the mission before anyone realizes they were ever in the room. That's not modesty, that's doctrine. GIGN. This unit was born from one of the worst days in German history. 1972, Munich Olympics. 11 Israeli athletes taken hostage by Palestinian militants. German police attempted a rescue. Every single hostage died. The failure was total, public, and devastating, broadcast live to the entire world. Germany didn't mourn and move on. Germany built something. Within 2 years, the Grenzschutzgruppe 9 existed. A counter-terrorism unit attached to the federal police designed with a single obsession: make sure Munich never happens again, not on German soil, not anywhere. They didn't have to wait long for their first real test. 1977, Palestinian and German terrorists hijacked Lufthansa Flight 181. 86 passengers, 4 days of negotiations across multiple countries: Beirut, Rome, Bahrain, Dubai, Aden, Mogadishu. The terrorists were running out of patience. The hostages were running out of time. GIGN followed them to Mogadishu Airport in Somalia. They stormed the aircraft at night, killed 3 of the 4 hijackers, wounded the 4th, and rescued all 86 passengers. Not a single hostage was killed. The operation took 7 minutes. Today, GIGN is considered the gold standard for law enforcement special operations units worldwide. Not because of what they are, because of what they refuse to let happen twice. GROM. Okay, this one is going to surprise you. Poland, not a country most people associate with world-class special forces. That assumption is not just wrong, it's embarrassing for the people who make it. GROM, Thunder in Polish, was established in 1990 after a series of terrorist attacks targeting Polish diplomats abroad. Poland looked at the problem, looked at the best units in the world, and made a decision. We're not going to build something similar. We're going to build something equal. They called Delta Force. They called the SAS. And those units, the best in the world, agreed to train them. It shows GROM accepts fewer than 5% of applicants. Operators are trained in hostage rescue, counterterrorism, direct action, and special reconnaissance, the kind of intelligence gathering that happens in places no one is supposed to be. In Haiti, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, American and British commanders consistently reported the same thing after operating alongside GROM. These men are exceptional. Not good for Poland, not good for Eastern Europe. Exceptional, full stop. They have operated alongside Delta Force and SEAL Team 6, the most exclusive special operations community on Earth. The commanders who work with them stopped being surprised a long time ago. Thunder doesn't apologize for the noise it makes. SSG, most people outside Pakistan have never heard this name. Inside Pakistan, it means something entirely different. They call them the Black Storks. The name comes from the distinctive black beret, but the legend comes from everything else. Founded in 1956 with direct assistance from American Special Forces, Pakistan's Special Service Group has spent decades quietly building one of the most physically brutal selection processes in Asia. Before the actual course even begins, candidates must complete a 36-mile march in 12 hours in full combat kit, followed immediately by a 5-mile run in under 50 minutes, also in full kit. That's not the selection, that's just the entrance exam. The SSG operates in terrain that would break most units before the mission even started, the Afghan-Pakistani border region. Mountains, altitude, extreme weather, complex tribal dynamics. An operating environment so unforgiving that geography itself becomes the enemy. In 2009, Taliban militants seized a building in Rawalpindi and took 39 hostages. SSG commandos responded, stormed the building, and ended the crisis before most people outside Pakistan had even heard it had started. No prolonged standoff, no international headlines, no drawn-out negotiations, just a problem and then the absence of a problem. The Black Storks don't need the world to know their name. Their reputation lives in the places where it matters most. JTF-2, and we really did save the best for last. In the special operations world, quiet often means deadly. Joint Task Force 2 is Canada's most elite and most invisible unit. Established in 1993 to take over counterterrorism from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, it was built on a philosophy that even American special forces sometimes struggle with: surgical precision with extreme restraint. The Canadian government has maintained near-total silence about its operations ever since. But Allied commanders who have worked alongside JTF-2 consistently describe them in the same terms: quiet, precise, and exceptionally effective. The unit has roughly 350 operators, the smallest Tier 1 force in the world. Delta Force has thousands. Let that sink in for a second. And here is the detail that stops every military expert cold. 3 of the 5 longest confirmed sniper kills in military history are Canadian. In June 2017, a JTF-2 sniper engaged an ISIS target from a rooftop in Iraq at a distance of 3,540 meters. That's 2.2 miles. The bullet took 10 seconds to reach the target, dropping over 1,000 feet along the way. The previous world record was 2,475 meters. The Canadian shot beat it by over 1,000 meters. The international military community went silent. So did the Canadian government, who neither confirmed nor denied anything for weeks. In Afghanistan, embedded with Delta Force, SEAL Team 3, and British SAS, JTF-2 operators captured 107 Taliban leaders and killed 115 fighters in 6 months, while taking almost no credit. In Baghdad in 2006, they helped rescue 3 Western hostages alongside the British SAS. The Canadian government refused to confirm they were even there. JTF-2 remains the only non-American unit granted Tier 1 status by the United States. Their motto, facta non verba, deeds not words. 12 units, 12 stories, and the quietest one broke the world record.